Hi, all. I'm Michael Ansara, a volunteer with Volunteer Blue. On behalf of Volunteer Blue and our many partner organizations, I'd like to welcome you. We're delighted you could join us today for what will be a great discussion on phone banking and how you can participate. And as we all know, phone banking is so necessary for us to win the midterms. But I'm also looking at the chat and I'm seeing California, Pennsylvania, Missouri, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, all over, Connecticut, people from all over coming together to make sure that we defend our democracy. It's a great pleasure to introduce our speaker tonight, Molly Hermes. Molly started phone banking in 2007 to help elect Barack Obama as president. Being an introvert, it was the hardest thing she had done in the organizing space up to that point. But she persisted because talking to voters and persuading them to vote for your candidate is one of the most effective ways to win elections. Today, she co leads Commit to Democracy. She trains thousands of people to phone bank with an incredible group of trainers. Phone banking works, and particularly when the elections are close, the margins narrow, phone banking is essential. Molly, the floor is all yours.
Thank you so much, Michael. I'm super honored that Volunteer Blue asked me to come and speak today about phone banking. So John is going to share a few slides that I have, and I'm going to talk along with those slides. So John, if you could bring up the slides. And maybe while the slides are coming up, why don't we have everybody just put in the chat some of your uh, preconceived notions on what phone banking what phone banking is. And first, let me pause. Can everybody hear me? If everybody could just, maybe write in the chat. Oh, okay. Yay. Thank you so much. All right, great. Thank you so much to everybody. Okay, so let's get started. I'm super excited to be here. So, yes, I wanted to elect Barack Obama, candidate Barack Obama, to be president. And I knew it was going to be a big, heavy lift. And I went way out of my comfort zone and I did all kinds of things that didn't involve a phone in order to form teams to get him elected. But quickly it came down to the fact that to elect this man, I would have to start phone banking. And I have to say that he did pioneer having everybody use their cell phones and call into swing districts in battleground states. In fact, more people from outside of Pennsylvania called Pennsylvanians than Pennsylvanians called themselves, and we won that state. So, what I wanted to say was that I'm actually an introvert. Even though I'm a leader, I am a more introverted leader. And I was afraid to pick up the phone to call people. It felt like a very, very, very heavy, heavy, heavy phone bank or heavy, heavy phone. And so it really just all started with 13 calls. So I walked down to an office, and at this office, they would hand me paper lists. I had my cell phone, they would hand me paper lists. They would hand me 4 paper lists. Each paper list had 13 calls on it. And all I could do was really just to call the first 13. Um, and I would go home with a migraine. I mean, that's how it went for me. I would go home with a migraine, but here's the key. I went back and made another 13 calls. And I told myself that it didn't matter how many calls I made because the 13 calls that I'm making today are 13 calls that nobody else is going to have to make. And that's how I started, literally being afraid and doing 13 calls. So now if we go to the next slide. Okay, it's really necessary to push through fear, and everybody has a lot of fear. I still have fear, not like I did, but I still have a certain amount of fear. But I firmly believe these facts that we can't win without talking to anybody. We have to be able to talk to people. We have to be able to persuade people. We have to communicate person to person in order to win. And having conversations builds trust and connection. I phone bank for many years now, And I have to say, a lot of people like getting the phone call. A lot of people like getting the information. And I don't think we think about that when we're phone banking. People actually want somebody to call them and maybe fill in information that they didn't have, or respectfully ask for their vote, or say, this is why the candidate matters. They don't want to be isolated. Humans are social beings and we like talking to people, and we also like getting phone calls. I truly believe that civil conversations are the glue that bring us together. In fact, I just had a call last week in Wisconsin with somebody through Ground Truth, and this woman was never going to vote our way. But she did say that she thought President Trump was going to do great things for this country, and she was so discouraged that she wasn't going to vote. Now, she didn't say that she wasn't going to vote, that she would vote for a Democrat. She wasn't going to go that far, but she said, I can't in good conscience vote. And she said, and what she really said is she said, she said, I'm glad you called because it makes me feel better telling somebody this. I've been so disappointed. So will she ever vote our way? I don't know. But that conversation was important to her. We need to talk to people who desperately want to hear from us and who need the information to vote. Many people don't know where their polling places are. They don't know when election day is. They don't know what candidates are on the ballot. So we're there to give people information. And the final thing is, we get good at this by practicing. I can make many more than 13 calls today. So each call is an opportunity to practice, practice, practice. And when we push through our fear, number one, we feel a lot more confident. And number two, um, I think I think it is an accomplishment to be able to do this, and it's a good one, and it matters, and it really, really matters. So now, well, let's go on to the next slide. Let's talk about how much it matters. Races are decided by very narrow margins. We lost Congress by 7,000 votes across all those seats. Some races we only won by 187 votes. Some of them we won by 700 votes. So every single person we can talk to matters. When we call for campaigns, we are identifying voters who will vote our way. And we're doing that earlier and earlier in the cycle. We have the opportunity to provide information and persuade them to vote. And through this, we're also cleaning up the lists and we're building lasting infrastructure for all of our campaigns. Um, and so the whole point of phone banking is to build a universe of voters who then we can follow up with. So it's different than postcarding or letter writing, where you have a one-way communication. It really is about two-way communication, and it's about building this voter universe that we can follow up with to vote when it comes time to vote. Okay, next slide. Okay, we put a bunch of myths on this sheet. This is one of the slides that we use in this training that we do every week. So the myths are, I need to know everything about a candidate or issue to be good at phone banking. And the answer is absolutely not. No, you don't. You need to know something about the candidate, but no one is going to know everything. You just need to know one thing. And it doesn't have to be very much. I didn't know that much about President Obama. I just wanted him to be president. So I didn't know where he stood on every single little thing. And you don't need to do that. Um, the other thing too, it's only the very best phone bankers have an impact. Well, I had an impact even when I could only call 13 people. Every time I phone bank, I have a lot of meaningful conversations. No, I don't. I might have 5 meaningful conversations in my 2 hours. And the other 2 hours, I might get people who hang up on me. I might get wrong numbers, but all of that goes into cleaning this list. And we need really, really clean lists to get out the vote at the very end. Phone banking is only for extroverts. No, it's not. I'm an introvert. I can do it. Every call is about persuasion and changing minds. No, it's not. It really depends when you're calling in the cycle. Right before an election, we're calling to get out the vote. It's too late to persuade. It's too late to change minds. All we're doing is respectfully asking people to come and vote. And then you need a thick skin. Well, you need a little bit of a thick skin, but you don't need that thick of a skin. And this is why. Because when you're talking to people human to human, people are not that rude to you. They really are not. It's really it really is scary to be rude to somebody when you're talking to them on the phone. It's not so, I mean, it's much easier if you're in a car or, screaming at somebody, or it's frankly, it's much easier texting. Wow, I got a lot of rude responses texting, but on the phone, people know that they're talking to a person, and most people do want to be polite. Okay, next slide. Okay, the realities. We've already gone through some of these, but hangups happen a lot. Cleaning the list is critical. Answering a single question for the campaign can be enough. And even experienced phone bankers get nervous. And the more you do it, the more comfortable you become. So just keep at it. That's my advice. All right, this is how we set for ourselves up for success. We're going to relax. We're going to get comfy, have a pen, have a snack, have your water bottle, have a notepad. And this is really what I learned in the Obama campaign. Smile. If you smile physically, like I'm doing right now, and then if you smile in your mind, you're going to sound happier, and people are going to react to you a whole lot better. So just smile. Um, I think that's the biggest tips I have for setting yourself up for success. Okay, next slide. Okay, I am going to give you permission. If no one at any phone bank gives you permission, you can say you heard it from me. Throw out the script, okay? You are going to be faced with scripts that are wonderful and way too long. You're going to be faced with scripts that are terrible and way too short. But here's the thing, you don't really need a script to phone bank. It's really about having a human conversation with somebody and then asking them the one or two questions a campaign really needs for you to answer. So we were calling for the vote yes referendum in Virginia. It didn't matter how you got to that conversation. What we asked the voter was, have you heard about the referendum on April 21st? If they said yes, then we would follow up with, "Well, can I count on you to vote yes?" And they could say yes or no. They could say they didn't know enough about it. Then you could start talking to them and explaining it. But those really are the key questions. It doesn't matter how you get there. It just matters that you get there. And I would say that the shorter, the better. We're calling for ground truth right now. That's through Swing Left. And what we're doing there is we're asking the question, is the country going in the right direction or on the wrong track? And with ground truth, we're talking to everybody. We're talking to Republicans, independents, Democrats. You don't even know who you're getting on the phone, but it doesn't matter. You're just talking to a human being. And the more calm you are, the better the conversation is going to go. So I would just open up very quickly by saying, "Hi, my name is Molly. I'm a volunteer with Ground Truth, a new program called Ground Truth. We're reaching out to people in your area to find out how it's going. Is the country going in the right direction or on the wrong track?" And they'll either hang up on me or they'll have a conversation. And you'll be surprised how many people have a conversation, even a very long one. Um, you could be calling for a candidate. So have you heard that Senator John Ossoff is up for re-election on November 3rd? Do you plan to vote for him? It can be very, very simple questions that you're being asked to gather the information on, and it doesn't matter the script. You just want to be you. You want to enter the conversation just like you're talking to a friend or neighbor. That's the best approach you can take. So just be yourself. Okay, so that is the end of my presentation. You can join us to learn to phone bank. I've got a bunch of friendly phone bankers right here. This is what it looks like when you phone bank through Zoom. And we're dedicated to teaching you, because when you go to a large national phone bank, you might be given 5 minutes of training. But what we want to do every Tuesday for 1 hour is to role play with you, get you comfortable with the tech, get you comfortable with the concepts so that you feel confident no matter what phone bank you go to. It doesn't matter to us at Commit to Democracy what you do or where you go. It just matters that you are trained so you feel confident that you can do it. And with that, I'm going to turn it back to Michael.
Thank you so much, Molly. And people should put questions in the chat. Let's start with one from Hawaii. Uh, are there phone banks in Hawaii? Can I join a phone bank in Hawaii, or can I join a phone bank somehow from my home?
So you may be able to join a phone bank in Hawaii if you know people who are phone banking. People sometimes have them out of their house. You can find that on Mobilize, but it's very easy to join a national phone bank. So, for instance, you can join us at Commit to Democracy. What we do is we phone bank through Zoom. And what you do is you log on to Zoom and we explain what we're doing that day and we give you a link to the dialer and then you start making calls with us in the Zoom room. So we phone as a community, and if you have any questions, you can come back on and ask a trainer. So most online phone banks go that way. The national ones do, we do. You have a Zoom room, sometimes you have breakout rooms, but people will be there to help you and train you. So you can just go to out to all the links and find a phone bank online and you can do it from your home.
Do I need any special equipment or software? Um, how does
You
that work?
don't need special software, but I would recommend that you have a PC or a laptop that has a working microphone. So the way these dialers work is you log onto a website and you phone through your computer. So you're not phoning through your phone anymore. Even now, if you went to a Democratic Party office, you wouldn't be phone banking through your phone necessarily. You would log on to a website, and that's what the dialer is. And the dialer would make the calls on your computer. So you don't even hear it ring. You just see a little phone moving back and forth, and as it connects to a live caller, you say hello. That's how we do it today.
So I think you've just covered it, but I'm going to ask the question again. Someone's asking, do I have to use my personal phone number?
No, you do not have to use your personal phone number. Now, Scale to Win will ask you to input your phone number, but that's only so they can identify the person who's calling, but it will never use your phone number to make calls. What they do is they buy phone numbers, or they get phone numbers through Google to make these calls. So if you're calling Wisconsin, you're going to be calling through a dialer that's attached to a Wisconsin number. It will not be your own phone.
So Deborah asks, with text banking, I found that I would set aside time only to find the amount of names for that session were already finished. So there was nothing for me to do. How does this work with phone banking?
Well, the way it works with phone banking is that, and I'm going to explain what we're doing right now with Ground Truth. So we're calling 75,000 voters in Wisconsin, District 3. That's the seat, that's a toss up that we need to flip. And so what people will do is they will all join the phone bank and they will all log into the dialer. And the more people that are on the dialer, the faster the calls go. But we're definitely not going to run out of 75,000 calls in 2 hours. Depend if we have 10 people on the dialer, we might call through 3,000 calls. So what the dialer does is it dials and it gets rid of it doesn't it ignores all the answering machines, all the disconnected numbers, and it will connect if it detects that a person is on the line. So there's always numbers that we can call, and all of these phone banks, the lists are far outpacing what we can do in even 2 hours. So there's always going to be people for you to talk to.
So another question, and there are a couple of them, all related to basically how much we reach people and hangups. One participant says, "I don't answer any calls from phone numbers I don't recognize." How often does that happen with phone banking?
Well, with phone banking, we reach a surprising number of people. And I mean, my husband even said, I don't understand why you're calling people when you don't even pick up your phone. And that's true. I don't. If I don't recognize a number, I'm not going to pick it up. On the other hand, I am not the target market for phoning. I'm really not. There are plenty of people in all of these districts that are waiting for a call. They pick up their phones. They pick up the phones even when it says spam filter. They'll pick up their landlines. One lady hadn't talked to anybody in 3 days, and I called her. This was for the Supreme Court race in Wisconsin, and she was just really happy to talk. So just because you don't pick up the phone, there are plenty of people out there that do. That's why phone banking works.
So Annie asks, I've done this several times with the dialer on a PC. It was technically easy once up to speed, very, very rewarding. Will we get on our screen information about the people we're calling? And do we address them by their first names? So what's the information we get? about the people we're calling, and do we address them by their first names?
For some campaigns, you'll get the first and last name. Well, for most campaigns, you're going to get the first and last name of the caller. You might get where their polling location is, depending on the campaign that you're calling for. You probably will get their phone number, which is public information, by the way. So you'll have some rudimentary information about the caller. Sometimes you'll get the age. I haven't seen that in a while, but we used to get that. And then you'll get a lot of information about why we're making the calls and information that you'll need to answer callers' questions. So that's what you're going to see on your screen. And I'm sorry, Michael, what was the second question?
Do we call them by their first name?
Okay. In the South, when I'm calling Southern states, I always say Mrs. and Mr. And especially with older people, if I can detect it's an elder, I say Mr. and Mrs. Otherwise, I don't.
Any tips on how to persuade people to volunteer and help out with additional phone banking or canvassing when you're talking to them?
Yeah, so there's some phone banks that we're going to do where we're actually going to call people to volunteer. And here's the thing about volunteering. A lot of people will volunteer if you ask them, but they won't unless you ask them. So I've done a lot of recruiting calls and people will say yes. And they might not do it right then. You might say, well, when do you think you can start? Um, but I really recommend the art of the one-on-one, even a short one-on-one to get people to volunteer. Like literally just call them on the phone, say, this is why we're making these calls. Can you come help? We really need your help. We want to win the midterms. Can you help us every single week between now and November? It'll only take 2 hours of your time. That would be my persuasion call.
And I just add that Volunteer Blue, working with Molly and Commit to Democracy, is hoping to start a program recruiting volunteers in swing districts. So stay tuned and keep looking at Volunteer Blue for all these opportunities. Many more questions. If the phone bank is scheduled for 2 hours, can a caller sign out before the 2 hours is up, or is that considered irresponsible?
No, you can sign out at any time. So, for instance, some of our callers can only do an hour. And I do want to say that even if a phone bank is 2 hours, it'll take 20 minutes to get trained and settled in and get up and going. So, you're probably just going to call for an hour and 40 minutes. But some people will, sign off, after the first 30 minutes, 40 minutes. But again, back to my 13 calls, it doesn't matter. Just come out and do it for however long you can. It's really okay. Uh, the more you do, the more you can help. But don't let I can't stay for 2 hours stop you.
And are you calling both cell and landlines?
We are calling both cell and landlines. That's correct.
And to the person receiving the call, what does it look like? Where is it coming from for them?
It'll come. We're calling Wisconsin right now for ground truth, and so it comes from a number in Wisconsin. It could be Eau Claire, La Crosse, it could be some small town. I don't really know, but it will be a Wisconsin number.
I get asked, here's a tough one for you, Molly. This is a
Okay.
hard one here. I get asked to volunteer for phone banks other than yours. How do I know which ones to volunteer for?
What I always say is number one, look for an issue or a candidate or a program that you actually want to call for. So, for instance, if you are set on electing John Ossoff, go find a John Ossoff campaign and start phone banking for that campaign. So, that's what I would say would be number one. Number two, if you like small groups, you can come to a group like ours, Commit to Democracy. We're a friendly bunch and we like to have people every single week. We're warm and welcoming. If you'd rather go to a phone bank with, hundreds of people, that's very exciting. You can do that as well. But what I would say is when you're starting out, number one, get trained. That'll really help. Number two, go to 6 phone banks and see which one is right for you. See what program is right for you. See what you feel comfortable doing. It could be a time that works for you better than others. It could be a weekend or it could be a weeknight. It could be an afternoon. Maybe your friend has a phone bank in their house every Tuesday afternoon and you want to phone with them. Again, I don't think it matters where you phone, but I do think it matters that you phone.
So another very specific question. Do you leave messages when you hit a answering machine?
It depends. We used to phone and leave a lot of messages, but we don't do that anymore because we use Scale to Win and it's pretty fast if you have a bunch of people on the calls. But for instance, Scale to Win doesn't it's not perfect. Sometimes you will get an answering machine, and if that's the case, I know when we were calling for Virginia, they wanted us to leave a message on that machine. But we don't necessarily leave messages anymore. In fact, you can program Scale to Win so it leaves a message in the background. You don't even hear it or see it leaving a message. That's something campaigns can do as well.
So more questions coming in. We'll just take a few more before we wrap up. But here's one. I'm from Massachusetts with a Boston accent. How can someone from Georgia find me credible? I'll be recognized as a Northerner.
I think it's okay. I really think that people just want to talk to people. I mean, I've called people in Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee. Some people have asked me where I'm calling from. I'm just honest. I say, I'm calling you from El Cerrito, California. And they don't care. And one guy did actually care. And he said, I don't want somebody from California calling and telling me what to do. And it's like, well, okay, that's just one call. But again, back to the Obama campaign, more people in California called Ohio than Ohioans called themselves. It's necessary to make these calls until we get better infrastructure in all of our states. So if you're in a blue state, the most important thing you can do is reach out into these target districts that desperately need our help.
One last question. Is there a good time and day of the week to phone bank?
Not really. We've had good luck at early afternoon, mid afternoon. Most phone banks are from 3 on to 8 o'clock at night. Some Saturday mornings. I would say Friday is not a good day to call, but otherwise, and Sunday morning, but Sunday afternoon, Saturday morning, and then really in times of I think 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. in the district that you're calling.
I think that takes care of our questions, Molly. Thank you so, so much. And I can't say enough, Volunteer Blue works with a lot of partners, and Commit to Democracy consistently does the best training of any phone banks that we've encountered. And we've worked with dozens, and there are many that are really good. But I have to say that Commit to Democracy does the best training and best management. And they're going to be doing phone banks all along. And you know this. We are in a desperate fight to save our democracy, and every voter matters. Every vote counts, and that means that every call counts. So we're now going to do an experiment, and I hope you will join with me and make this work. We want to ask each of you to sign up with a phone bank or a training. So it doesn't have to be a phone bank. You can go to a training and sign up and do role playing and understand how Scale to Win and other dialers work. But we'd like you to really sign up now for one of our phone banks or training. And we're going to play a great song related to phone banks while you sign up. We're dropping links in the chat for a list of the phone banks. So if you look in the chat, you'll see a list, a link that you can go to. And then what I'm hoping is that you'll go to that link, you'll sign up, and then you'll put in the chat which training or phone banking you're signing up for. So, John, let's have a good song.
Love. Come on, come on, come on.
We're having people sign up. It's great. We are going to continue to do Zooms like this over the next months. So if you want to attend more Zooms, go to Volunteer Blue and keep signing up here. Julie is signing up for June 16th. Excellent. Darlene for June 8th. Excellent. And You can always find opportunities for phone banks and other activities at volunteerblue.org. A big shout out again to Molly and to Commit to Democracy for all they do and for participating today. And many, many thanks to all of you for being here. And thank Elaine for June 16th. You can also go to Volunteer Blue and do personal coaching if you want. Again, every volunteer matters, every call matters, every vote matters. And Jean is signing up for tonight at 8:30 in California. Excellent. Really, really glad to have all of you with us. So good to be in this fight with all of you. Let's keep it up. And thank you for being with us tonight. Take care and good night.
Love, come on, come on, come on. Reaching out to you, so take a chance.